Hi, I'm Chris Crumley, Associate Editor at SDM Magazine, and today I have a guest from March Networks, and he'd like to speak with us about how they're deploying AI to sort of search through, the video that's actually collected, right, the data. So today my guest is.
Yeah, hi, Christopher. This is Payne. I'm our Chief Revenue Officer at March Networks. And I've been with the company about 15 years, so I have seen this video surveillance industry go through its analytics phase and now into true AI adoption. I think there's a lot of questions out there for the industry and how we go about adopting it. And I think we're doing some really unique things that put us ahead of the industry in terms of some really practical adoption of how you can use generative AI to start doing things to help your company.
Right, and I spoke with March at ISC West, and one of the things that was sort of discussed was, of course, there's the need for find the red shirt or the blue van and stuff, but there are applications that spread beyond that. So sort of where I wanted to begin the talk was a bit of how you're using that AI to sort of increase security and safety outside of those traditional sort of boxes, certain compliance things and whatnot. Could you speak to that a bit?
Absolutely. We have had a philosophy for a long time that video surveillance is a platform for a company and not just for security. And while that's its primary purpose and has been historically, it will still be in the future. This is really about how do you do more with that video platform that a company's already invested in. What's happening with AI right now, and generative AI in particular, is really revolutionizing and speeding up that process of how you can use video for compliance, for marketing, how you can use it to run your daily operations. And so, we introduced a product that we call AI Smart Search. It's really a solution that we've tried to balance all of the power that comes with generative AI and large language models and the searching you can do with that, with a practical reality of what is cost effective and what produces an amount of information that's manageable and doesn't just simply overwhelm you. So from a compliance standpoint, there's a good set of use cases. We have effectively, with AI Smart Search, you grab a set of images. It could be across thousands of your cameras, any or all of your cameras you're looking for. And at regular intervals, we're grabbing an image using the large language models and generative AI to be able to basically create a searchable database of those images. And so now you can go back and you can look for anything. Right? These are models that are truly trained to look at a scene and analyze it. It's not just an AI analytic that's looking for a car or a person, even though it does all of that. It's much broader. And so when we look at some of the examples and use cases for our customers, compliance is really one area that's very important to them. And so an example would be, a lot of fines happen for health and safety violations for blocked fire exits or blocked exits in a retail store or many different types of facilities. Using generative AI, you can literally go in and either talk with a voice command or type if you want, or you can even store these searches yourself in the system. And you can ask it to show me all our blocked exits or show me all our blocked exits exits that have boxes in front of them. So you can ask it really anything, and it will search that scene and will instantly give you the set of images with the location and what location that is, what camera that is, to allow you to go rectify that problem. So it's that's just one example. You can look at it from a liability standpoint with, say, search for wet floors, or search for wet floors where I don't have my yellow warning sign up. And that will instantly produce those images, allows you to then take an action with your staff at that location, and really start to avoid some of those compliance issues that people run into. One we see a lot with banks, and you can stop me when you want me to move on, because I can talk about this stuff all day. If you think about in an environment where there's lots of cash. So this could be a retail environment where they are counting cash that comes out of a till or a drawer at the end of the night, or you're in the banking environment where they have very formal cash counting policies in their cash rooms. you can use this tool and the generative AI capability to simply say, show me unattended cash, or show me unattended cash with only one person in the scene. Because in a banking environment, those large cash counting processes include two people to ensure the safety and compliance of the cash. So really, none of those things had really the core security benefits that we've typically seen, but it's showing you how the video platform, can really be used for multiple groups in the company.
Anecdotally, I used to. My first job was at Tim Hortons, and I used to, when I was a supervisor, you'd lock yourself in the room and count the drawer, and there would be a camera in there. But
you
anyways,
would be shocked how many times we see images from a Tim Hortons type environment in the quick serve restaurant space where that door is never closed and that cash is sitting on the counter.
Right.
So it's and I think one thing you'll see as we talk through this, virtually every company that we talk with has their own version of use cases that as you're showing them this new AI technology, they start thinking, wow, I could use this for multiple purposes. And that's where we get some of our best ideas, because we watch their reaction to what really resonates.
My next question, perhaps the phrasing could be a bit different, but I'm curious with sort of what you laid out about detecting wet floors or unattended cash. Is that sort of something that needs to be trained? Is this like, I suppose what I'm asking is how customizable is this, or versus how much of it is sort of ready to go as soon as you get what I'm kind of trying to massage out?
It's funny. We talk a lot about, I think, just sort of industry vernaculars, like we're going to talk about training the model. I think some of this is where we distinguish between AI analytics that most people think of security analytics that are identifying things on an edge device like a camera, versus really using a very powerful cloud-based generative AI system. So if you think of AI Smart Search and what we've launched, it's very customizable in terms of what you want it to notify you about and how you want it to notify you for what you're asking it to look for. From a customization of training the AI models, we really have not gone down that path yet. It's something you can do, but what we've found is the effort it would take for ourselves or even our end customers to train the model on the things they're looking for is not worth the effort today, because the cloud companies, and we partner very closely with Amazon on this, their models are moving at such a rapid pace that by the time you would train a model on something, the core model running in the cloud will have been updated and improved significantly. So if you just look at the last few months from when we first announced this to now we're in production with it, having gone through our beta phase, it is significantly more accurate. And none of that was the result of the training that we were specifically doing. And so we steered away from it a little bit. There may become that day where we do it. But really, because of the way the generative AI works, and it's really making a determination of what it sees in the scene itself, it's really not, it hasn't been worth it yet to do that, which is exciting for us because that allows us to work with a partner like Amazon who is doing all of that work really on our behalf.
Wonderful. Another question I had is, obviously AI could also be applied just in terms of internal processes by, almost everybody. And so I'm curious, is this just a part of, product offering, or are you guys also applying AI internally and business strategy wise, or?
Oh, without a doubt. I would argue probably any company that is not looking at how to deploy AI broadly across the company is really going to end up in a tough spot in the long run. So we obviously, what we're predominantly talking about today has been product development that we've done leveraging AI. But we launched an initiative last year that we called AI Forward. It was a cross-functional initiative for the whole company, where we brought together leaders of each of the functional groups who have actually driven three, we narrowed it down to three per functional area that we all put forward. It was a competition. But if you really look at it, we have adopted AI technology to improve operating efficiency in almost every one of our functional areas. So it's easy to understand why and how we would do that in development. We use in the development process, we're using it for security vulnerability evaluation as we write code and in that development process. But we use it in sales. We use it extensively in marketing. We use it in our bid management, in our legal department, and just the efficiency of being able to leverage AI for really the high volume work has really allowed us to increase efficiency tremendously. And I would argue, I think every company needs to be doing that, whether it's our integration partners, whether it's our end customers. There's tremendous efficiency that people need to be leaning into instead of really pulling away from it.
A moment ago, you spoke a bit about the difference between the analytic AI and the generative AI. So I'm curious, does the edge play into what you guys are doing, or I suppose can you give me a bit of window into that?
Edge analytics, which the industry is now latched on to sort of edge AI analytics, is that the way I think of that is traditional video analytics that are now better than they used to be with a nice AI term. So I try to be practical about it. We get very excited about it as an industry, and sometimes we just have to be careful not to oversell it. But the analytics are much better. Our belief is it is in the long term, it is a partnership between edge analytics and cloud analytics that are going to deliver the most value. Today, while we use and have plenty of edge-based camera analytics for attributes and security type analytics, we believe the cloud analytics are just so much more powerful. So what we're doing with AI Smart Search, you're really leveraging the cloud and all of the power that comes with it. And it's very far ahead of where the edge analytics are. Over time, those will come together because you'll be able to take some of those generative AI analytics and actually have them at the edge on the camera itself. So you'll be able to take some of that AI processing out of the cloud, put it at the edge. And if you think of it this way, those cameras will be looking for things at the edge that they see in the image, and then passing that to the cloud to take a closer look at it. So today, that's really what we expect the edge to play a much bigger role in the long term. Today, the cloud just certainly outpaces it in terms of its pure Gen AI capability to do that analysis. We have spent a lot of time talking about how do you ensure it's responsible AI, and what are the things that you cannot search for that and how do you prevent that, and what does that look like in a real world use case?
With all of the data that AI can generate, we've talked about this a few times. You mentioned it earlier in the podcast. There's the worry of sort of being overwhelmed by notifications, and so I'm curious, what March is doing to sort of making sure that it's only giving actionable notifications and not necessarily just overwhelming.
I think you've hit the nail on the head for analytics, and then what AI analytics can do to take that even to the next level. Most companies simply don't have the people or the processes to handle all of the new notifications and information coming in. So you have to do it in a thoughtful process. We're probably a perfect example of this. When we first rolled out AI Smart Search, we had the notification capability, and it created much more noise than our beta customers wanted. And so we actually removed it from the system, and only now are putting it back in with a much, much narrower set of use cases for when you can and should use it. Simply because the amount of information that generative AI can find in a scene and notify you about it can be truly overwhelming. So I think we're a good example of that. My belief in all of how do you go about dealing with that is you need to try it first, right? Like, this is before you jump in with both feet, do a pilot, figure out what it is exactly you're looking for, and then you customize the notification element of that around your people and your processes.
Wonderful. And sort of to put a bow on the conversation, I'm curious if you had any sort of parting advice for integrators out there that might be listening that are beginning to dabble, as you were mentioning a moment ago about jumping with both feet. But you know, as the industry turns towards the utilization of AI in video solution, do you have any sort of parting advice for those that might be listening?
Yeah, I would have a couple. I think the first one is do what you did. Start using it in your personal life. A generative AI in particular, there's a little bit of an art to knowing how to ask it or prompting it for what information you want. And it's an iterative process where you dig deeper and deeper and you get refined results. The same goes with AI smart search and using video that is running with the Gen AI engine. So I think use it in your personal life. Try ChatGPT or Gemini, and you'll get a good feel for it. The second thing I would say is understand the difference in truly generative AI analytics and AI analytics, as we're now calling it in the industry, that are going to come on your edge devices. Those are great at doing they're going to find the things that they've been trained to do. They're really inflexible and terrible at finding things they haven't been trained on. Generative AI is going to allow you to ask for anything that you can think of. It will look for because it's analyzing the scene. And I think that's a distinction that's important for integrators. Most customers don't understand that. You don't want to be overselling and then have your customers upset afterwards. So then the parting thing I would say is then go try some of the products in the market, right? The best thing to do, and I mentioned this before, when you start having a customer use these systems, they come up with their own use cases. Our integrators will do the exact same thing, right? Because they really know the business. They just have to experience this tool. It can all of a sudden create so much more information for themselves and their customers.
Nat, I just want to thanks, Heath.
I appreciate it. It's great to be on.